Hello, everybody. Welcome to our event. My name is Eitan Levine. I'm one of the co-founders of Tribe NIL. Our event is called Witness History, a Family's Conversation on Survival. It's co-sponsored by Tribe NIL and the Mark Schonwetter Holocaust Education Foundation. I just want to make sure everyone can hear me. We're going to be starting right now. So, give you guys a little bit of information on us. We are Tribe NIL. Tribe NIL is a first of its kind initiative. We are the largest organization of Jewish college athletes that has ever been assembled, to our knowledge. We have over 200 students in our group chats. We have branding and marketing initiatives. We our students in the chat and in Tribe NIL. We give them a speaker series. We offer them community support. We have a ton of awesome initiatives that are going to be coming up. This Tuesday. Okay, so here's a couple of other events that we have with Tribe NIL. By the way, you can check out all this stuff at tribenilsports.com. All of the information about our organization is up there. A couple of awesome events that we have coming up are this Tuesday night at 8 p.m. We have a conversation with Daniel Poneman from the Weave Agency. Without exaggeration, Daniel Poneman is the biggest agent in the college sports universe. He's also a religious Jew. His story is absolutely insane on how he ended up getting to the position that he's in. Basketball fans out there, this is the man that discovered Anthony Edwards. So come and hear his story, 8 p.m. He's going to be speaking to our athletes about using Jewish values to be a leader in the locker room. This event is for Tribe insiders only. The only way for you guys to go to that event is to sign up for Tribe Insiders. Another event to look out for in your email is a co-sponsored event with Maccabi USA, where Maccabi USA is going to be interviewing our athletes that represent both our organization and Maccabi USA. That event's going to be on November 5th. And November 13th, Dan Grunfeld, who was a former professional basketball player in Israel, the grandson of Holocaust survivors, and the son of Nick Great and Olympic gold medalist Ernie Grunfeld, will be telling his family story and the influence of the Holocaust on his athletic career. Once again, you can check all of that stuff out at tribenilsports.com. Beyond excited for our event today, I would like to introduce you to Jared Fiske and his grandfather, Mark Schonwetter. Jared is a member of Tribe NIL. He is a star soccer player at Vassar, and his grandfather started the Mark Schonwetter Holocaust Education Foundation. I'm going to pass off this conversation to Jared, but to start, I'm going to ask you a big question up top, Jared. You're a soccer player at Vassar. You have a very busy life, obviously. It's Sunday, one of your few times off. Why is it important for you to share your grandfather's story?
Yeah, thank you so much, Eitan, and everybody for coming and help host this. This story has been a part of my life ever since I remember. I'm 21 years old, and for 21 years, my grandfather has been a part of my life for every single moment, every big moment, every small moment. He's been there. You've been there the whole time. So your story has become my story, and it is my responsibility to continue carrying that torch as my mom has, as my aunt has, and continue telling your story. And you've done an incredible job of coming in every part of my life, to middle school, Hebrew schools, high schools, to my college last year or 2 years ago, and sharing your story, because your message is so powerful. So I'm so happy that we're able to do this today. It's a very special moment for me to be able to share this moment with you. Share your story, continue to learn how you do it, how you spread your message. And yeah, so thank you so much, Poppy, for doing this. And I know that this is what you do. So we appreciate you, and it's so important what you're doing. So without further ado, I want to kind of hop into his story while also sharing kind of my experiences. So, Poppy, you were raised in Poland, and you were raised in a remote area in Poland called Brusztyk. So I would love to know more about what your life was like before the war began in 1939.
Well, before I answer your question, I want to say thank you to the organizers for giving me the opportunity to be here. And of course, thank you to you for such a wonderful introduction. Now, let me go and answer your question. As far as me remembering what happened before the war, how was our life in this little town named Rostek, it's very difficult for me because I did not, as a child, concentrating on the memory for the future. I was just roughly about 5 years old when the war broke out in 1939. And of course, I live on the farm. My father was a farmer, had land, horses, chickens, oh, whatever a farmer has, he had quite a bit of a nice size of a farm. And why I am on the subject of the farm, I just want to make a note here so our audience can understand that there was a Polish family that was helping a lot my father working on a farm. And my father decided that it would be much easier for both sides if the people who help him so much be right on top, living on a farm. So he gave him a room in our house, and the family lived together with us in this one house.
Gotcha.
The name of the Polish family was Piła, and I am mentioning that because there were a lot of help they gave us to survive.
Gotcha. So you were a farm boy in Brush Deck. And so what did you start to notice changed? Well, how did you know the war began? What small changes started to happen in your everyday life?
Well, that we did knew about the war, for me, was the knowledge that something is happening when I saw first time in my life trucks full of soldiers, tanks, even airplanes flying in the air, which I never saw before, pay attention to it. So we saw that something has happened, and we saw there is a war. And that was the German army who passed our little town and just continue going. So we knew that the war is here, but we didn't actually realize what are the consequences of the German army occupying Poland and the changes that will happen after them taking over Poland.
So now you start to learn that there's starting to be some changes in your life. You don't know the severity of it. So what did your family do?
Well, when we start seeing the changes in the whole thing was when the Gestapo, which was which was the police, German police, when they used to come to the village, to the town, call it little town, and they, in the beginning, they start going to the chief of the police, but then the chief of police told them that the Jewish population in this town, which was about 15, no, actually the whole generation amount of people living in this little town was 1,500, from which 500 were Jewish people. So the German Gestapo asked him what they do, the Jewish people. And so far, all kind of details. So he tells them, if you want to know more information about the Jewish population, talk to Mr. Schonwetter, which happened to be my father, because he is the head of the Jewish community here.
Mhm.
They will give you, he will give you more information than I do. So from this moment on, they came to the town, to my house, and talked to my father. Soon they mentioned to him that certain changes they have to be made here in town for the Jewish people. First thing we need to do, that every Jew in this town going to wear on their arm a band of Star of David. Then they came and they mentioned that if there are Jewish people here that have small children going to public school, they forbidden to go to school. And finally, they told my father, they came and they told him, what we're going to do is taking over your farm, your house, and you have to move out from here and find yourself a room somewhere in town and live there. So if we need you, we're going to call you to the police station and asking you questions. And you're allowed to take only personal belonging. My father found the room. We moved out from the house. And whenever they needed him, they called him to the police station, questioned him, and then they told him to go home.
Yeah. So your father was kind of coming and going, it seems like, and you were living in a home that wasn't yours. So when did you get to a point that you knew that something really wasn't right? Your father's still coming and going. I know that one day he didn't return. And what happened once he didn't return?
Well, the day that he did not return, somebody knocked on the door, and the wife of the chief of police came in, and she tells my mother, listen, I'm here to tell you something. I don't have much time. So listen, I overheard the conversation between the Gestapo and your husband, and they were telling him that they will take all the Jewish people out from here and take them somewhere. I don't know where, I don't know when, but I came to here and to tell you this because I would suggest that you take your two little kids and run away from here. When right away she left. So when mom heard this, that what's going to happen, she didn't know where to go and what to do. But she was scared. So she took me and my younger sister, and she says, let's leave the house and escape from here. So where did we go? We went back to our old house, to the room of Mr. Pewatt, and she told him what she heard. She begged him to help her. So, well, he says, don't worry about that. It's late in the evening. Tomorrow morning, we sit down and we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to help you out. And don't be scared. I find something for you. Let's go to sleep. He sent my mom to his cousin, which lived next door. Different house, but very close, She knew who exactly it is. But he says, him pointing at me, let him sleep with my kids here. And let's go to sleep. Tomorrow we talk. That's what we did. What happened early next morning, the Gestapo came in, walked into the room, went to his bed, wake him up, Mr. Piwa, and they told him, we were told that the Schonwetters are in your place here. Where are they? He says, there's no Schonwetters here. There's no Schonwetters here. Look. He says, okay, you see, I have people with me. We're going to search the property. We're going to find them. And we're going to kill you and them because you don't cooperate. So where are they? He says, they're not here. So he says, okay. Tells his people, go and search. Look for them. They walked out and he's walking out. At one point before he even walked out, he stops, looks around, and he sees quite a few kids sleeping. So he turns to one of the kids, happened to be the older daughter, and he's asking her, how many brothers and sisters do you have? And she, without a quick, says 8. So he counts, there is 8 kids. So he walked out. Today, I'm saying that I was the luckiest kid in the world, that she was smart enough to include me in the count of her brothers and sisters. Because otherwise, I wouldn't sit here today and talk to anyone.
Mm-hmm. So now after this moment, and probably one of the scariest moments of your life, I could not imagine, you know, I'm grateful that she said 8 because I wouldn't be here either. Mr. Pewatt tells you to go hide in the bushes in the backyard of your home.
Right.
And I think one of the coolest moments for me is I grew up hearing this story, and I've been fortunate enough to now twice in my lifetime visit Poland with you and go back to Brustek, your hometown.
Right.
The first time was about maybe 10 years ago, and the second time was this past spring when I was studying abroad, and I came and surprised you guys in Poland when you guys were doing the March of the Living. But I remember the first time that we went, especially, we met up with Mr. Pewatt's grandson, still owns the same property that you guys lived in. And although he's now completely renovated the entire property, he kept a little corner of the old home that your family gave the Pewatts as a memory and an honor. And I remember when we visited and we met with Mr. Pewatt's grandson, I remember finding a small rock in the shape of a heart that I've kept with me to this day, that like the small things that make you really think of, wow, this is a special moment in my life. So that was a little part of the story that I remember, and now I've been there twice with you, and it's been 2 of the best stories and moments and experiences of my lifetime. But now getting back to kind of your story, so now you're hiding in the bushes. What do you do after you escape this near-death experience? What's your next step?
Well, our next step was that when we got together with my mom and my little sister, Mr. Pewatt told us that the best and safest place for us would be to go to a ghetto.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I take you there, you walk in, find yourself a place to live, and stay in the ghetto. Nobody will think that you escape from here to the other town,
mm-hmm.
the name which was Dębice, where the ghetto was, that will look for you. So let me take you there. So we walked 15 miles from our little village town to the Dębice ghetto. We walked into the ghetto. We lost our mom, started looking for a place to live. Unfortunately, it was very hard to get a spot because it was full of people. Every house we walked in was packed. While we walked, we saw people living on the streets. But when mom did find our little spot on the attic of the house, just big enough space for three of us sitting close to each other. And that's how we start living in the ghetto.
So you lived in the ghetto for about 4 months,
Right.
and then one day you guys escaped. How did you guys do that?
Well, the way we escape is a little boy came to my mom and he tells mom, listen, there is a man on the other side of the fences and he's asking, do you know a Schonwetter? Do you know a Schonwetter? When I heard the name, I know you. So come on, I show you where the guy is there. He took my mom there. And who was there? Mr. Piwa. And he tells my mom, run, get your two kids, and I show you how to get out. Make it fast. My mom runs, brings me, my sister, and he said, look, I'm throwing a blanket over the barbed wire on top. You pick up a child at a time and throw him over. I catch him here. My mom says, oh, I wish I could do it. I am weak. I don't have strength to do that. And besides, it's so high. How can I throw it? So he says, look, you have to do it. Those two little kids don't weigh no weight there. They skin and bone. There's no weight there. You can do it. Do it fast because the guard's going to see us and then we're in trouble. So do it. And she started and she did it. She threw me, my sister. Then he says, you climb the fence, jump over and I catch you. And she did it. And that's how we escaped from the ghetto.
Being sticks and bones sometimes isn't the worst thing in the world. I went through years of playing soccer and being told I was sticks and bones. It ended up working out all good in the end. But so now you've escaped the ghetto and you kind of go into a moment of survival where in the winters, you were living in attics and in nice Polish families' homes that would hide you. And then in the summertime, you would go live in the forest and live off anything that you can find. But I remember one story that you would always tell about during one winter spell, you were living in a pigsty. Can you share that story for us?
Well, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So while we were walking, and Mom approached a farmer, and he kind of expressed his sorry for us, that he wants to help us. But if he's going to take us, he has to make sure that in case somebody would say that he hides somebody, that nobody would think that we're hiding in this place. So come tomorrow. Of course, we impatiently waited for the tomorrow. When we got back, he says, okay, come on, I show you where I want you to stay. He took us to this pigsty and he's showing us, you see, I did a little hole here, but it's very shallow. You won't be able to see it or do anything. Only way you'll be here is to lay down and lay day and night. Would be okay with you. Mom says, of course, no problem. So he says, okay, step in, lay down. He did, and he takes a pieces of wood, he covers the top, then he takes hay, he throws on top of it, and then we hear the pigs walking in there, start jumping around. We were scared a little bit of him. Maybe they jump too much and break the pieces of wood and they kill us here. However, they settled, and that's how we lived through the whole winter. It was very tough. Finally, we figured out that it's because, laying day and night, yeah, he was nice enough. He made a hole on the side and he was shoving us food. So we got something to eat at least. But if the nature called us to do something, empty out the stomach and everything else there, it was difficult. You couldn't get up and walk someplace out or do something. But my mom found a little spot in the corner and she says, we're going to use this, as I would call it, toilet. Even to get there, the only way we were rolling over, one over the top the other, did our share of this, back same way. And that's how we lived the whole, it wasn't pleasant.
So, Poppy, now you are the most positive person that I know. Always optimistic. Even the way that you say, like, we have a nice corner, we have a nice thing in the little corner, and we did our business and we rolled over and it was fine. But in those moments, as a 7-8-year-old child, I imagine most 7-8-year-olds in that moment are crying nonstop, and and especially later in life, you have those moments as a child. And you look back on it, most people, might have a lot of resentment or a lot of hatred in their heart, but you live with so much love and kindness. What was it about those moments, or what is it now that makes you live with that perspective that I respect so much? I idolize it. I want to be like that. And in moments of my deepest bits, I think of you, and I think of the optimism that you always show, and it helps me so much. But what was it in those moments that helped you get through it?
Well, I have to say that I have to give all the credit to my mother, because I consider my mother one of the greatest women in the world. So there is no other woman like her, because she was always positive. As you mentioned before, we were in a horrible situation, constantly scared, cold, hungry, and we cried. But my mom never yelled at us. She never hit neither one of us, me or my sister. Always with a smile, talking to us, always explaining to us the situation in the positive way. Always saying, it's not so bad. You're going to see it's going to be better. I mean, just a silly example. When we were hiding in the forest, it was raining. We are wet. We're shaking from this water on top of us. We start crying. My mom, with a big smile, is talking to us. Take a look. Take a look at the sky. You see, it looks like we'll stop soon. Won't rain anymore. And if that's what happens tomorrow, the sun will come. We take off our clothes. We hang them on a tree. They will dry out, and you have fresh clothes and dry clothes. You see, it's not so bad. So don't cry. You'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
In every situation, she always found a positive way to explain and make us feel good. And that's how I learned to live this kind of life. And that's how I even getting married, having kids, I try to teach my kids always the positive way. I never start spanking kids, no good, yelling at them. Never, never. Always the same way. like my mother did to us.
Yeah, so I never got to meet your mother, and Baba Sala, I've heard so much about her from you, from my mom. My mom speaks about her so much, and I feel like I do know her, although I've never gotten to meet her. And I'm named after her, my middle name, and my Hebrew name is Sagib Yisrael for your two parents. And I've always felt a deep-rooted connection to your parents. And the tallis that I was bar mitzvahed in is the same tallis that Baba got for my parents for their wedding day, and small things like that, where even though I never got the opportunity to meet your mother, she's always been such a huge part of me and my life. And those same values that you teach, my mom and aunt and have taught us for 21 years of my life, I do feel like it has been deep rooted from Baba Sala. So it's been so amazing. And same thing for your father. I would love for you to share what happened to your father, if that's all right, because it is one of the most powerful things to me.
Well, as far as my father, when we escaped and went to the ghetto, my father, we didn't know what's happening to him. The only way we have some information that people told us later. One of the stories we heard, for example, was when they took him and then they hold him in the jail. The policeman told him, go and take a walk. He opened the door and said, go. So he went. Then after a short period of time, he is back and goes back to the jail. And the policeman said, why you back? I told you to go for a walk. Why you came back? He says, I know what you did. I know why you're complaining that I should not come back than I am. I know. I hear they're going to take all the Jews here. If I escape as a head of the community, they don't want them to say, you see, we're doing this to you because you escape. No, I want to go with my people. And he didn't go anywhere. He went to jail in this. But what actually happened with him, we find out while we were hiding in the forest. Mr. Piwat's son-in-law came one day, and my mom looks at his shoes, and she's saying, where did you get those shoes? And he looks at her, what shoes you talking about? Shoes? He says, don't stop, tell me. Anyway, after exchanging, a few words here and there, finally, okay, you insisting, I tell you. He says, when you escaped from here a few days later, the Germans came with trucks. They asked for Polish young men. They need quite a bit of them, and they have to go to work. They loaded up a couple, 2 or 3 trucks. They took us to a forest, and they told us, you see this piece of land here? We want you to dig a big, deep hole. We worked. Finally, they said it's done, it's good. They took us back to town. Then a couple days later, they came back and they mentioned that they need the people back to work. They load us up on the trucks again, and we go and we see we're going directly the same location that we were before. So when we got to the place, we see that the hole that we dig is full with dead bodies. They told us to cover the whole thing, make look like nothing is under. After work, they told us, you see the clothing laying here around the side? Take one item, and this will be for the work that you did here. So I was looking around what to take. All of a sudden, I saw a bunch of shoes. While I was looking there, I noticed the shoes that I wear. So I took them for the memory. So now you know that your husband was killed by the Nazis, and he is one of the many in this mass grave.
Yeah.
So that's how we found out what happened to my father.
So many years later, you went back and they found the way that they found this grave, this mass grave, was a hiker found a tombstone in the ground,
Right.
which basically a Polish man that, like Mr. Piłat's son-in-law, went back and put a tombstone in the ground in memory of the lives that were lost there. And the hiker, many years later, found it, and they made a memorial out of it. And you got to see it, and you took a picture of it, and you came home, and you brought it back to my mom, and you showed the picture. And as my mom is looking at this tombstone and this memorial, my mom starts to tear up. And what she saw was that your father, and along with many other Polish Jewish people, were killed on August 12th, 1942. And 62 years later, on August 12th, 2004, I was born.
Right. Right.
And there's some things that I don't believe you can explain. And
no way.
You can't.
No.
And, through many ways, I always felt a strong, I said it before, but with your father especially, there was something there. And in both my times that I went to Poland, I made the hike in the forest and I got to visit the memorial. And it's a hike, it's a hike, and you see how purposeful it is. It's not just the beginning of a forest. You're hiking in this forest, and it proves that they didn't want it to be found. They didn't want anybody to hear the gunshots. Things as simple as that, where I'm a 21-year-old athlete, and I'm saying it's a hike. Yes. You're going up muddy slides, and you're slipping, and they've now put railings up, and they made it into a beautiful thing. But it was one of the most emotional moments of my life, especially this past spring. I was there 10 years ago, and it was emotional, but I think now I've experienced even more life and been able to realize and hear your story so many more times, realize how impactful the story is, how terrible it is, but how much we can learn from it. And as we were standing around this memorial, the leader of the group that we were with, played a shofar in honor of all the lives that were lost in this completely silent and absent forest. And it was a really emotional moment for me. And but I felt the connection. So I thank you for, experiencing 2 Poland trips with me, being able to experience your story, because it's incredible. Yeah.
You're right.
You're right. It's pretty crazy. I mean, now looking at today, we're in this moment and you continue to tell your story. Something that I've been curious about is the idea of, being outspoken about your Judaism. You travel the country, you share your story. You are proud to say that you are Jewish. You are proud to tell your story because it's a story that needs to be told. But something like putting a mezuzah on your doorway. At what point in your life did you feel comfortable to start doing that? You were growing up, and did you have a mezuzah on your doorstep when you were living in the farm? And did you take it down? Stuff like that, where you were outspoken about your religion. Did it not feel right the first time you put a mezuzah back on your doorstep because you were scared?
Well, of course, in my original house where we lived, of course, my father had a mezuzah on the door, no question about it. But then, during the war, unfortunately, we didn't practice any Judaism. We didn't know anything about it. Not only that we didn't, Mom didn't try to teach us in some things in Judaism. We didn't even know how to add 1+1. We didn't know ABC. Nothing through all those years when we are hiding. Now, as far as the mezuzah, yes, we put it back on the doorman did, but when we moved from Poland, in Poland we didn't even think about it. So after that, when we left Poland, we were lucky enough that mom started back and we learned a little bit of Judaism. And I be honest with you, you know it very well. I'm not a religious person, but I do obey by the traditions of Judaism.
Yeah. So I want to give you the floor now because you tell your story for a purpose. You don't tell your story just to tell your story. So I would love you to share your message that comes along with this story of why you do what you do. What can we do to continue your message?
Well, I started basically talking about it when I got my two little daughters and they went to school, started going even before if they understood we were talking about it. But actually, I start talking and participate in this whole thing is when I sold my business, I retired, and then I devoted my life to share the story of survival by me. Of course, with my sister, with my mom, because I strongly feel that I don't want anything like it to happen again in the young generation people. I don't want them, when they get adults, they have their kids, their great kids even, that this will never happen again. And the only way they will prevent from anything like it, if they know the history, what happened during this period of time. And they will start to believe that makes no difference who you are and what you are. That the main thing here is that we all human beings. We equal. We all equal human beings, regardless if we Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, or whatever religion you are. We all the same human beings. That we, doesn't matter are black, white, brown, or any color, makes no difference. We are all human beings.
Yeah.
And we should live in peace, in harmony, in friendship, not in hatreds. Because if we start hating each other, what's going to happen? First, is going to be more hatreds between us. And finally, we get mad and we start killing each other. And we're not supposed to do that.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing your message. You have shared your message for a long time now, and it is making such an impact in this world. It's making an impact on me, your immediate family, and everybody. You've lived an amazing life. You've raised two of the best girls in the world, and you now have
You're right.
four grandkids that have all gone to college. I'm a senior in college. I'm the youngest one, and you have a grandson in law school, two beautiful granddaughters in the workforce. So it's been really amazing of what's blossomed out of such a miserable time, and how you've proved to fight against the hatred. And when they hit you down, you've gotten up, and you've gotten up stronger with purpose. So I thank you for doing this. This has been a very amazing experience for me. And yeah, so thank you so much, everybody, for listening. We'd love to open it up. I'll pass on over to Jeremy.
Yeah, thank you, Jared and Mark. We have, if anyone has any questions, they can write them in the chat. I'll get us started though. Mark, I have a question for you. So listen, Jared is, I think we all just saw how big of a mensch he is, and and a great speaker, also a very accomplished athlete. He's an All-American, All-Academic, Liberty League last year, leads his team in scoring. What are some qualities of him that you see that you see from yourself, that you say, wow, that's my grandson? Both surprising qualities, but also things that you really see in yourself that's a Schonwetter.
Did you hear what he said? A little bit?
A little bit.
He's asking you, what qualities do you see in me that may have come from you? I definitely didn't get my athletic ability from my parents, that's for sure. So maybe that's from you. But what values or qualities do you see a little bit of yourself in me?
Well, first thing I have to say, the quality that I see from you is how important you consider the family, the respect that you're giving to me and my wife as grandparents. Besides, as far as the athletics, I don't know, but maybe a little bit from me you have, because I love sports all my life. As a young boy after the war, right away I start playing soccer, because living in Poland, soccer is the game. But besides the soccer, I learned to play ping pong. And I have to say, I wasn't so bad as a child. There was a Jewish community that my mom was sending me. There were 2 or 3 mature Jewish men. They were very good ping pong players. They taught me how to play. I played ping pong later with them, and they had a club, and we played in the area. We were the only Jewish club playing non-Jewish, of course, Polish other teams in ping pong, and they pushed me to play 2 of them, and I was the third one. It was a team of 3 people. So I love this. And then when I came to the States and everything, I start playing tennis, and I play every week, singles only. I didn't like doubles because it wasn't action enough. So I have to say, there'll be a little bit of it you inherited, and here you are.
Hey, it makes sense. Sometimes you critique me on the game, so you better have had a little bit of soccer experience in order to do that.
Yeah,
fair enough.
We have time for probably 1 or 2 questions. If anyone wants to write in any questions, now is the time to do it. I'll give everyone. Ethan has a question. Ethan's one of our board members. There's a question for Mark, but Jared, can you actually see it?
Yeah, I can read it to him. All right, you can hear me?
yeah.
When you became an adult, did your mom ever speak about that time and what was going on in a different way?
Well, I have to say that no, my mom never spoke about it. Even in the beginning, she didn't share this with very few people. The reason for it was not because something, she just didn't want to
Revisit
the bad things that happened in her life and talk about them. because she may upset some people. She doesn't know the mentality of those people, so she rather didn't talk about it.
Were you able to speak to her sometimes about it? I know she may have not spoken it outwardly like you do to the public, but were you able to have those experiences of learning some of the stories from her perspective, or she wouldn't even talk to the family much about it?
Well, we did. If we had any questions in regards, came up for whatever reason, when we asked her, she answered. She always answered to us. But to go on her own and start telling us the past, what we went through, rather not.
And how about your sister? I know you speak to her every Sunday. I
Yes.
imagine you maybe have spoke
Yeah.
to her this morning.
Yes.
Does she share her story at all?
No,
No.
my sister is not sharing her story. She kind of stays away from
Similar
it.
to mom.
Similar to mom, yeah.
We have one more last question that Jared will read.
Yeah. All right. Something on my mind a lot lately is what is next for the Jewish community. After the past few years, any larger words of advice when it comes to keeping the community together? How did the Jewish community not splinter after experiencing such traumatic things? So what can we do now as the community to hold us together and keep us as strong as ever?
Well, I think that as Jewish people, if we look back to the history, and the Jewish people were going through so many different situations, but they always survived. They may lose some people, they may be killed, whatever, but they were always together. They always followed each other. They always kind of, in a bad situation, they got together. Unfortunately, during the Second War, when Hitler came to power, there was not much uprising. But I think this was not because of the Jewish population, but they would, because you had a good example of the Warsaw Ghetto uprising. They did uprise. But you have to say, as much as you hate the Nazis, but you have to say they organized the destruction of the Jews so quietly, so innocently, that the Jews didn't have the opportunity to get together and do anything. They were always on top, unfortunately. So what we have to do now, we have to learn the history, see the spots, what they did, and try to eliminate this and teach the young generation in particular, so they know their mind is open, their vision is there, and if God forbid anything, they will right away step in and do something about it.
And if I may, a lot of what you're doing, sharing that history, is doing this very well. You know, you're joining the Jewish community, but you're also expanding the Jewish values and the stories to outside the Jewish community, because we are all stronger together. And something such as this NIL collective of tribe of joining Jewish athletes together, introducing them to each other, like making us aware that, you know, you're not alone. I'm one of two Jewish people on my team, but remembering that there's a whole group of Jewish athletes out here that are succeeding and are excelling in their own sports and doing their own things is such a reminder that you're not alone. And that's the feeling that you can sometimes feel as a Jewish person, is that feeling of being so separated from everybody else. But you sharing your story, making more people involved and knowledgeable about our story as a Jewish people. And this has been so valuable.
And I have to add to it, if you don't mind me, that I would give all the credit in the world to the organizers, what they did right now to unite the sport people to be together and know. That's great. And don't feel bad for me. Feel good for me. If you need me for whatever place to speak to any of them, to all of them, I am more than ready to do that and share with them my story or just have a conversation with them, because they're great people, I am sure.
Yeah, it's amazing. My grandfather really does travel across the country and speaks, and he does it so well. And they've started a foundation in his name where they are raising money to give grants to schools that don't have Holocaust education in their curriculum, which is so powerful. You guys have given out so much money and grants so that, you know, so many students have the ability to go to museums, get a class set of books, get that bus ticket. It's so valuable. Do trips to places that they would not even imagine, because it is really sad that there is not Holocaust education in many curriculums or budgets.
Exactly.
But you guys make that accessible, and it is really impressive what you do, and especially what my mom and aunt do that
That's
organize
right.
the whole thing.
Yes,
They
yes.
deserve a lot of the credit.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Jared. Thank you, Mark, very much for telling your story. Thank you to Jared's mom, Isabella, his aunt, Anne. If you want to learn more about the foundation, you can check out their website. I will definitely be taking Mark up on that offer about connecting you to different sports teams and getting you to speak to their teams. I think would be very cool. Also, if you'd like to support Tribe NIL, I put a link directly in our chat. It is Jared's specific link. So if you specifically want to help out Jared and help out Jewish athletes in general, 15% of all gifts and contributions using that link go directly to Jared. So on top of the rest of that goes towards Jewish programming and supporting Jewish athletes. So I wanted to thank you guys both again. And Eitan, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I don't know if everyone was here in the beginning of the talk, but just for anyone that wasn't here, Tribe NIL, we are the largest Jewish college athletic organization that has ever existed to our knowledge. We have around 200 college athletes in the NCAA that are in our group chat. You know, we don't know the exact number, but we're pretty sure there's over 1,000 NCAA athletes between Division I, Division II, Division III, and we really want to engage all of them. The only way we can do that is with your support, you know, financially, but also just tell your friends, tell everyone, tribenalsports.com. What we do is that we offer the college athletes a curriculum, nice little fist bump I saw. We offer the athletes support networks. We offer the athletes just a community. Last night we had about 10 of our students at the Michigan St. John's game, and it was awesome seeing them interact. We're going to be adding more programming and support. You know, we found out, for instance, that a bunch of our students you know, live near each other in like North Carolina or in like, you know, Tennessee and stuff like that. So we're starting a partnership with One Table, which is a organization that gives free Shabbat meals to people. So it's initiatives like that to build community and to just help support, you know, the athletes out there. Once again, tribenalsports.com. Please tell everyone you know. And if you have any free sports tickets to stuff, send them to me directly. You know, and maybe I'll invite a couple college athletes also. But yeah, anything else, Jared? Anything else?
No, just thank you so much, everybody, for coming and listening to my grandfather's story and to come my story as well. So thank you, and thank you, Jeremy and Eitan, for setting this up. It's really powerful.
Oh man, thank you, and thank you again, Mr. Schonwetter, for participating and for sharing your story. It was just awesome to hear. I now have to watch the Jets play, so you know, it's a much needed distraction from that. Have a good Sunday, everybody. We'll talk really soon. But once again, tribenalsports.com.